Hey everyone, good afternoon. Again, this is another continuation of the video series with the vocabulary builders, and yeah, just a reminder for all of y'all is that Cebuano does have specific verbs for things that can't be expressed in English or other languages. So just keep that in mind because there are things that Cebuano can express that other languages can't, right? And these are just for actions. That's why in Cebuano we have specific verbs for different actions, right? And that's the beauty of the language is that you're constantly learning all these new things, these new concepts that English can't explain easily, okay? Or other languages in general. So the first word is ligis, right? And when you affixate it, it changes to ligsa or ligsan. It depends on how you want to affixate it. Ligsan, right? And that's for something to run over something. Okay, so usually it's a vehicular accident. Usually, okay. So, like if a vehicle ran over a person in the street, which is actually a bad example, but if it ran over something ligsi, right? Ligis, nagligis, okay, or ligsan. And again, you can use it as like accidente. Accidente just means accident. So ligis is like something like accidente, right? Kat or the full form kalatkat, and remember that al or that la infix. Okay, remember that. The full form is kalatkat, but in dialectal differences, katkat. And this means to climb up, but you're physically climbing up, so you're using your arms and legs to climb up. How is this different from sakat? Sakat just means to go up or to rise or to go up, right? But sometimes you can use these words interchangeably, kalatkat or sakat, but sometimes you can't. For example, you can use them interchangeably depending on the situation. So if I wanted to climb a tree, or I can use kalatkat to climb because I'm using all of my limbs, my extremities to climb the tree, right? My arms, my legs. But I can also use sakat because I went up the tree, right? Nagsakat siya sa kahoy. Nagkalatkat siya sa kahoy. So this person went up the tree, this person climbed up the tree. So just be careful of those subtle differences because those also happen in English. Like you can go up, you can climb up, you can get up, right? But this verb specifically is to climb up physically. Okay, saka in general just means to go up or to rise, okay? To rise up. The next verb is tamak, right? And tamak, this is easy. It means to step on something. There's that video from those Mormon guys that said, nakatamak ko ogbaki, right? I stepped on a frog, right? To step on something, to stomp on something, you can step on a carpet, a floor, a rock, whatever, right? You can step on something that is tamak. The next one is pakog. Pakog is a useful verb. Okay, it means to bump into something, right? So whether your body part, right? For you can bump your body parts into something or objects or items you can bump. So for example, I bumped my head, right? I bumped it into someone else's head or into an object, right? Or items. Let's say that things were hanging, right? If you're hanging down objects or items and the wind was blowing, wind were blowing them and they're all bumping into each other because of the wind that was blowing, you can use pakog, right? Pakog means to bump into each other, to bump into something, right? Hapnig, right? Hapnig means to arrange or stack things neatly. Okay, so you can use this in, for example, clothes or dishes. Like you're just stacking and arrange them. So clothes, you're stacking them flat and in an order. The key word is there's an orderly arrangement to how you're stacking all of this, right? So if I folded all my clothes and I'm stacking them like flat out, hapnig would be the verb I can use. The next one is la'ai, right? And la'ai means to be bored or something that is just very boring and monotonous. You can describe somebody who is bored, somebody who is la'ai, right? And you can use this for something that, like to get bored, like, oh, I'm bored easily, or I get bored easily, right? Kala'ai. Next one is lanog. Lanog, it means to echo, broadcast, or something that just to made heard of, right? And in this case, we can use like news or noise, right? You're echoing out the news or the messages that were being conveyed, right? You're broadcasting all of this to make it heard of. Like you have a megaphone and you're making all this noise heard of, or this news well known or made known of, right? You're echoing all of this stuff out there, right? So lanog is like to spread the word in a really loud way, like you're making it really noisy. Apapangig means jaw, right? Apapangig means jaw, so that's like an anatomical part is a jaw. I also like to eat this. There's a dish I like, which is a tuna jaw, right? Apapangig sa barilis. Tuna jaw. Apapangig sa barilis. When they grill it, it's delicious. So jaw is just the anatomical word for it. Or your actual like mandibular area, like your jaw, your lower mandibular part, right? For those of you who studied anatomy. Lugit means to remove something buried or obstructed. So lugit can be like if you had, let's say, if a tube had something obstructed and nothing else can go inside it, you physically remove the obstruction and then it's clear, right? To remove it. Or if you were shot with a gun and then the round is inside your body and you remove the round out of your body, you can use lugit, right? Because you were shot. Lugit means to remove something buried or obstructed out of something, right? Daños is a Spanish word, right? It came from, is a borrowed Spanish word, daños. It's actually enya in Spanish, the ñe, daños, right? And it means like the rewards or the awards that you were given from a lawsuit or a court case, right? So it's just whatever was rewarded to you from a lawsuit. Bungkag means to take something apart or break up, right? So if, for example, if I just want to keep looking at things, if I had a pile of boxes, right, and I keep opening up these boxes just to see what's inside them because I get paranoid of like I might be losing or missing some things, I'm constantly breaking up and taking something apart, like the boxes. I'm opening them and taking things out of them, and that's bungkag. Okay, you're constantly like, I was constantly looking for something. I can use bungkag to take something apart and break up into smaller pieces or into its constituents or it's whatever made that larger thing, right? Or to take away something, I guess, like in a way to take apart something. Bungkag, it's a useful verb. Like tipo, right? Tipo or tipong nga, it means like a type of something. This actually came from a borrowed Spanish again. This is why I say, just as a side note of me, like this is why I say like learning Spanish is very useful in Cebuano because you will see and hear all these Hispanisms, like daños, for example, and tipo, for example, all of these like small Hispanisms that happen, right? These are all coming from the Spanish language that were borrowed into Cebuano, right? And it's important because Cebuano integrated all of this into its language, right? With over 300 years, even more than 300 years of Spanish colonial rule, there's just so much influence from Spanish that Cebuano took, and more than other languages. That's why I guess it's really important to recognize the importance of these 7,000 or even more loan words from Spanish. So tipo is a borrowed Spanish word meaning the type, or like type of, right? Tipo nga blah blah blah, type of blah blah blah, right? I can use this phrase for asking you like, hey, what type of girls do you like? Like, unsay mga tipo nga babae sa imo? You know, what type of girls are for you? You know, or like what type of and then noun, like what type of food? You know, unsay tipo nga pagkaon? What type of food? What type of color? What type of just any type? You know, type of something, right? So this is a useful phrase. Hibi meaning the small dried shrimp that you see in the grocery stores or bags. You know, like in a little bag you see like small dried shrimp being sold. That's just hibi. Mumho is also really good. It means like small particles of rice, corn, kettles, or like crumbs and morsels that you ate, right? Mumho is just like the small little pieces of food. It can be like a piece of rice or like, you know, corn, or like when you're eating something. And sometimes, for example, this is the best way I can put it, when you're eating something and when you're done eating you have some small pieces of like food around your mouth or on your plate that dropped and fell. Those small little pieces that are in your mouth or around your mouth or on your face, like, you know, you're eating a piece of corn or eating rice, but then you have some of it on your face because you were really hungry, or some of it fell down, some of the little pieces of crumbs of rice or morsels of corn or rice fell on your plate, because I guess it just fell off of the spoon. Mumho is the best way to describe that. Mumho is like the pieces or the particles of food that are left over. So if you see somebody that has like a particle of rice in their face after they eat, or a piece of corn, I don't know. There's it's not just rice or corn, but there's so many like crumbs, just so many other types of food particles. You can use mumho to describe that. Nay mumho sa imong nawong, nay mumho sa imong dagway, nay mumho sa imong plato. Okay, nay mumho na hulog, right? There's like the small particles that fell, that's in your face, that's in your plate, right? Huong means to eat food that hasn't been served, or get food that hasn't been served. Like you're eating straight from the pot, you're eating straight from the pan, you're eating straight from a serving dish that hasn't even been served yet, right? Huong, right? Usually this is for like really hungry people. Like we describe this for like greedy people, selfish people, hungry people who are dying of hunger. Huong, right, is that verb that is specifically to eat food that hasn't been served yet, whether the food has just been newly cooked in a pot, in a pan, in a wok, or has been newly baked, something like that. That's just, and hasn't been served yet, but you want to be greedy and you just eat straight from the pot, right? You can also use huong. Okay, listen, you can also use huong to taste what you are cooking, right? So if you're cooking something and you want to give it a taste to see if it's good, if it's good, you can use huong, right? That doesn't just mean that, oh, I'm greedy, I'm gonna eat food. But I can also use huong to taste what I was cooking, to see if it needs more flavor, if it needs more of salt or something like that. So you can also use that verb in that manner. Unod, lastly, means flesh, like flesh of meat, human flesh, flesh of other animals, right? So this could be like, if there was if you're eating meat, right, and you only like to eat the flesh of the meat, for example, like beef, pork, or chicken, or fish, you only like to eat the fleshy part, you don't like to eat the bony part, you can use that. You can also use unod to describe flesh, as in like a fresh flesh that has just been cut up. I can see the flesh from your body because you were in an accident or in a surgery or something. You can use that. That's called unod, okay? So hopefully this can help you with this part.